Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and we're talking about Legacies today. This time it's a little different. I know it's kind of been sad since the finale has aired, but I thought why not do something a little different? So today we're gonna rank the seasons. Not just last time I did seasons 1 of 4, but we're gonna talk about the specific storylines or the chapters within these seasons. And I'm not doing it alone today. I brought my friend Amber along with me, who's gonna be ranking along with me. So heads up, I do not know how long this video is gonna take. We all know from my other videos, I cannot keep time as well as I think I can. But with Amber, there is no telling how long we're going to talk about this, though. But Amber, I want to say hello to everybody.
Hi, my name's Amber.
We,
It's a pleasure.
of course, if anything, if anyone who has been following along, especially with my Legacies videos, Amber and I both met during the screenwriting program that I was taking. It would have been when season 2 would have aired for Legacies, if anyone wants to know a little timeline of when that happened before the whole pandemic thing happened. But before we truly get started and dissect what we're going to do in this video, huge spoiler alerts and disclaimers. Spoiler alert, not only for Legacies itself, if you haven't seen the full series, if you haven't seen episode 420, I suggest you go do that first because there's going to be spoilers in this. And if you know any of my videos, I'm going to not only talk about Legacies, but Vampire Diaries is going to come up. The Originals is going to come up. So huge spoiler for those two shows as well, because I can go on tangents, things could be connected, who knows. So huge spoiler for that. Also, what is shared in this video is going to be either my own personal opinions about these storylines and Amber's own opinions about these storylines. They could be the same, they could be different, but they are our opinions. If they differ from your own, that is great. We'd love to hear why they differ and how they differ in the comment section down below. Also, if we like any particular characters that have done some questionable things, that does not reflect if we would like those same type of qualities in someone in real life. This is just a fantasy world. I feel like I always have to say that when it comes to talking about the Vampire Diaries franchise. So let's just get that out of the way. And I know that Amber is laughing right now because you
Yep.
know that is true.
Yeah.
All right.
There's some
So,
questionable things when it comes to relationships in
yes,
Vampire Diaries.
that is very true in the case. So, what are we going to talk about in this video? So, give everybody a heads up. As I said before, we're going to talk about the different chapters or the storylines featured in the 4 seasons of Legacies. I'm about to say Vampire Diaries. In Legacies, there's about 13 of them. These are all thanks to the website Legacies Wiki. Google that. They're the go-to website I go to for anything detail related for this franchise. They're the ones that were labeling these chapters. They also provided the episodes that belong to these chapters that were really helpful in trying to narrow down how exactly these storylines kind of came to be. So link for that website is down below in the description box, but we're going to go through the chapters as we finish a season. We're then going to share with each other our top favorite episodes for each season. Amber prepared her list beforehand. I prepared mine, but we have not shared it with each other. So it'll be very interesting to see if we have the same ones in common or if we have any different ones. So we're going to do that as we go along. We're going to do everything chronologically. And I'm going to be the pink boxes, as you see on screen. Amber is the blue boxes. And we're going to go back and forth and rank them in the 5 categories you see above us. The goal is to only have 3 of each of our colored boxes in each row max, because we actually want to create a list today. So either what we're looking for, rewatch worthy. Amber is going to be, do you like that story enough that you would see episodes in that multiple times? Great. It's kind of like you could do things a little better, but it's still a good quality storyline. Good would be more of like maybe neutral. It's like it's had its good points, but it's like you're still okay with it showing. It had its moments. It could gotta go either way for you. If it's like it was either good, either bad. Don't really know. Meh could either be you forgot about what the storyline was about. You didn't really care for it. It's kind of like that's like your F rating kind of a storyline.
Oh, okay. I had a bunch of those in mind. It's not on a list, but I can think of it. I can think of some episodes like that that kind of fit that category.
Yeah, so if anything, we're going to see if any storylines fit into those categories. So let's start off with season one. So season one aired in 2018 and it had the 16 episodes. So Amber, we're going to have you go first with the first storyline, which is considered the Malivore chapter. This consisted of episode 1 to episode 7. If you're thinking more of when hiatuses happen, this is all the episodes that happened before that first holiday break that they had.
Okay.
So if anything, this is where we got introduced to the dragon, the gargoyle, that spider arcane arcanine, that creature, the dyad or the dryad, which is who introduced the idea of Malivore to
Yeah.
us. And then you have the necromancer, the two-part episode with the necromancer as well.
Oh, those episodes were really good. I loved the character in that one. He was
Mhm.
hilarious. On my okay, most of my episodes um on like the list for like season one, like my top five, are
Mhm.
like majority past episode four, but I have a few that are in that like range.
Okay.
Um, so one of it is like episode three, where
Mhm.
like Jeremy has like a cameo in
True. I forgot about
yeah.
Jeremy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I forgot about it too. Like they just had him for like a couple minutes in the show and they never like they just
Mhm.
dropped him. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, are we allowed to
You're
swear?
you're good. You're
Okay.
good.
Yeah, so I was like so pissed because I don't think he was in any of like
Nope.
the seasons.
I think
I not
that was the only episode he got for it. I think Matt only appeared in two. I think he was in episode 1 and episode 4, if I remember
yeah, and
correctly.
then he just left
Yeah.
because they replaced him.
Or he became mayor, did he not?
Did he? I
I
didn't
think
even
so.
notice.
Because they had a new character in season 2 be the sheriff. And I think it's because Matt
Yeah.
became mayor and uh Alaric made a reference like I know the mayor in an episode. So it it was kind of like a bye Matt kind of a situation, but he lived. But so with that said, though, where would you put the Malivore chapter right now? You can always move it. Again, you can always move chapters later on down the line if you find things shifting your perspective.
Uh, I'll just say, let's say, I'll just say, it was good, but I think it could have been a lot better.
So we're sticking it to good.
Yeah,
Alrighty. Yep. All right. Perfect.
because
So,
I just can't get over the fact that like you had a really good character in Vampire Diaries like Jeremy, and you
mhm,
didn't even continue his character in the Legacies, because I think that would have been a really good like opportunity for his character. Um, and
yeah.
like to kind of make the show like a lot more better.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned Jeremy, though, there was always like, didn't Alaric say like was he still associated with the school? Because we know with the Vampire Diaries finale, it was implied that he was in that final montage at the school, that he was connected to the school in some way. But when it came to legacies, did he say he was still part of the school, or was it just like an old friend was kind of going to get Landon and Raphael? Do you remember?
I think he said like an old friend was getting Landon and Raphael.
Damn. Okay. Because that's
Yeah.
the only time that's mentioned because throughout Legacies, Elena and Damon were always referenced, or I think only a few times in when Josie was staying with them where they actually name dropped specifically. But Jeremy never
Yeah.
again. So it's like,
Yeah, and I got so pissed because like after he left Vampire Diaries after a couple seasons, like
mm-hmm,
quite a few seasons, I was kind of like sad because I really liked his character and I think his character was had a lot of like still a lot of room to grow and a lot more like adventures to kind of experience with that character.
mm-hmm,
Um and it would have been nice to kind of see that in Legacies and I wish he was part of the school
mm-hmm,
and like the way Alark was, because like he was also human, but
mm-hmm.
Jeremy was like what, a vampire hunter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so like that would have been
I don't think
interesting.
was he anymore after Silas was destroyed, the mark disappeared afterwards after
Did
he
it?
was released. Yeah, and then he died, obviously, spoiler people, but then he came back to life. So it's like, was he still technically the supernatural vampire hunter anymore?
Um,
Or no, because I don't think he would have been part of the school then if he still was.
but even then, he still had this like he would still be at a level like Alaric, like human, but
Yeah,
still had like the combat skills that kind of like
yes, that is
be
true.
around supernatural people.
Yeah.
So
So
I was really
that's,
pissed, really,
yeah,
really pissed to kind of like,
have him go.
yeah, and they like literally like I felt it was like literally a second, like just a couple moments in the scene, and he just was never heard from again, and I got so pissed.
Yeah. And I don't think he had a scene with Lark. It was always just with Landon and
No,
Raphael in the woods, and
no.
that was it. Yeah.
And that would have been a great scene to have with Alaric and Jeremy.
Yeah. Can't believe I forgot about Jeremy. But for
See?
from for mine, I'm gonna put it as good for the Malvern chapter just because I think it's not the greatest, but they did pretty good job of establishing how monsters came into play after already the Vampire Diaries in the originals kind of didn't have any reference to it. So it was an
Yeah,
interesting of an idea of how they explained how Malvor, when they got consumed, it erased their everyone's memory of the
yeah,
creature. So they were good at establishing how, because I know it was iffy about the whole monster of the week kind of a play. Because the one thing I loved about Vampire Diaries in the original was the serialized aspect of it still
yeah,
being a continued storyline. And it forces you needing to watch the episode beforehand to make sense of what just happened. So that is something there. So with the second storyline called the Triad chapter, this is going with episode 8 to episode 12. And this is kind of with the introduction of the Triad organization and having them. Do you remember that MG's mom was a part of it? Ryan Clark was
yeah,
originally part of it. It was meant to be Triad was supposed to be the thing that took down Malivore, or
yeah.
supposed to be, and descended. It was supposed to descend from the original bloodlines that kind of started it.
Hmm.
So with that, we got creatures like the Shadow Man and the Merman, which is also we introduced to Landon's mom in that same episode. We got the Night Hag. We have the Jinny or the Genie. We had the Slug that kind of lowered people's ambitions, and we got the Mummy during the spring break, which is how Ryan Clark got introduced to Hope in that. So, what would you place those 5 episodes of a storyline?
I would have to say, oh, okay, so episode 8 like was a really like interesting. I would actually rewatch episode 8 because that was when Landon found his mother. And you kind of had like that road trip kind of like in an episode where you see a lot of that in like Vampire Diaries, and you kind of
Mm-hmm. It's kind of, now that you said that, it reminded me of when Damon and Elena went to Atlanta in
yeah,
like
yeah,
episode 111. It reminded me of that moment you said it, but this was also the episode where we saw Malvor in action for the first time when she dropped into the pit
yeah.
to erase herself, and we learned that Hope could still remember whoever got lost in the pit, though everyone else did not. So that was like, I guess, the true sense of us knowing the extent of Malifor in a way.
Yeah, and what was I saying?
You're talking about the you liking the that episode with them away from the school and new surroundings.
Yeah, because when you see like when like you see new surroundings, you're like kind of like dazed, and you're kind of amazed to like, oh, this is like a new like location to see the characters in. That's what I like about the characters. They're put in locations or situations that kind of like add to the character.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw a lot of that with Landon and his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the development of Landon and Hope's love story where they kissed for the first time. I think it was that episode.
What was that?
Yeah, in the motel.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was
And
one. Yeah.
yeah, and then this in episode 6 we had JoJo's character come back.
Mm-hmm. That is
And
true.
Yeah, and that was a really good because I really loved Alaric and JoJo's character, and their like love, like just like it made me want to cry, and it made me think about like Vampire Diaries and like all like the good episodes that like Vampire Diaries had. Oh, yeah, so I would say it was there were some rewatch worthy episodes in that little bunch. So
So would you put 8 to 12 as rewatch worthy for you?
yes, yes, I would.
Uh, Okay. Putting you up here then. All right. So for me though, I had a few I would ones that really like they had a few moments for Triad for me, but I feel like it's very specific like moments in the episodes. So for me it's not rewatch worthy, but I might have to put it in good still. I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I feel like there was like what two episodes in that range that was like rewatch worthy and the rest was like
Yeah, just
okay.
just based off of what I think the future storylines are gonna be, I feel like good is where it's gonna stay.
Yeah. And like some of the monsters like of those episodes were kind of like ugh, really just not it. Like I didn't really like the mummy one, even though it was part of um
Road trip away from school.
yeah, even though it was part of it, I think they could have like done like a different
Take on it.
monster. I don't know, like
Yeah.
different take on it. I don't know, like I
Yeah.
just feel like they just could have done better.
No worries. I probably had thoughts about it too, but I don't remember them. It's more of if
Yeah.
people watching this want to know what I found out, go watch my recap video for it. It's in the playlist for Legacies. But let's move on to the Phoenix chapter. So that's episode 13 to episode 6. So to the finale of season 1. So 13 dealt with the second half of spring break where we dealt with Landon, MG, and Raphael going back to MG's hometown where he dealt with his father. And then we had the 14th episode with Miss Mystic Falls pageant as well, but MG's mom was also the antagonist for that. She was still the antagonist for episode 15, and then 16 was when they attacked the school, but also the Headless Horseman was coming after Landon as then Hope going into the pit with Clark uh, is how the finale ended. So I'm wondering what you would put the Phoenix chapter as.
Oh my God.
Do you want me to go first while you still think, or
You
do
go
you still?
first. You go first because I want to hear your opinions of it
Okay.
because we still have like season two. We still have like season three, season four to put like as a rewatch
Yeah.
worthy category and like
Yeah.
okay.
So for me, just because of a lot of my favorites are in this chapter. So for me, the fact in episode 13 we found out Landon was a phoenix, we finally had an answer that he was a phoenix. Was we also got a little bit more about the werewolf psychosis that Raphael was dealing with, which what led to Landon being killed because MG, and then Miss Mystic Falls pageant. Absolutely, because not only was that Lizzie and Hope getting closer together, but also we had Klaus and Caroline history coming back into play. We
Yeah.
also got Roman coming back from the originals, who was the love interest for Hope, who initially was the son of the
Yep.
mom who was trying to kill her. He came back. So that was a nice familiar face, and he was a lot more than just a one scene wonder in that episode. And then we also got a bit of a development with Josie and Penelope as well too in the pageant, and Josie really wanting to step up in that. So that's one
Mhm.
of my favorites there. And episode 16 in itself, the finale, I remember crying in that finale because it had me so emotional over it. And just from the goodbye she had with Laura, her goodbye to Landon before she jumped in the pit, knowing that she's going to be forgotten by everybody, was just like also like the reveal I think in this chapter was the fact that Malivore was Landon's father.
Yeah.
Like I think that was in 15, but like I remember like this was where it's like everything was kind of coming together. And this is probably the only time I liked the Malivore aspect of it because I'm pretty sure if I watched my 116 video recap, I think I had the theory that at one point Malivore would possess Landon because the whole goal was to have a perfect body, and he created Landon to be that perfect vessel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like I feel like that's the one where it's like, oh, I've been thinking of the theories. It's also the finale ended on the finale it was supposed to, because every other time it never was ending on the way it was meant to.
Yeah.
So
And in a way, they kind of foreshadowed that it would eventually happen.
yeah, it took a while to get there, but yeah. So
Yeah.
I think for me at the moment, I feel like I'm gonna have to move it later, but I think for me, I'm gonna put it at rewatch worthy just because there's so many in that I would prefer just rewatching again. I think I'd be happy just watching 13, 14, 15, 16 all in one go in one night. I feel like.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Like Landon finding out that Malivore is his father was a really, really, really good episode. And then seeing Hope's ex-boyfriend from the
The
originals was
originals,
really, really
yeah.
good. And kind of seeing like the dress of Caroline that she got from like Klaus.
Hmm.
Oh, that was really good. I'm gonna say it's great.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna move it eventually to like rewatch, but like I already have that would already be two like
Mhm.
slots up there.
Yeah, no worries. All
So
all
yeah.
right. So since that's the end of season one, let's actually go through our top fives. Do you want to go with your fifth option or do you want to go from first down?
I'm gonna go with my first down.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
so like number one would probably be episode 8, where Landon finds out about his mother,
Okay.
and just because like the adventure just reminded me of like Vampire Diaries, and it felt like kind of like a serialized episode, like
Okay.
not like Monster of the Week kind of thing, like you
Mm,
would see
true.
in like season 2 and season 3.
The
Um,
traditional format we are used to in the
yeah,
franchise.
yeah.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so I liked that, and I thought that fit really well, considering it was a spinoff from the Vampire Diaries and the originals.
Hmm.
Um, my second would be the Jeremy cameo,
Okay,
even though it was
103.
like, yep, episode 3, like, even though it was short-lived, it was so good to see. And even though it should have been like done a lot better. Like he done like they did a good job, like kind of revealing his face. I kind of like that, but I think they could have like wrote him more scenes with that character, with his character.
I'm glad they
Um,
didn't kill him off in that
yeah.
episode. I'm glad for that. But
I mean, would it like make sense though that they did that? That wouldn't make sense in my opinion.
if they planned to kill him off, it would probably be slightly different what had happened in the episode. But whenever they always bring special characters on, right? There's got to be a reason for to bring like just to either finish the storyline or to have them still be there, like we're going to talk about with other characters that come up later. But like sometimes they might only agree to come back if they kill off the character or if they continue the character forward, right? So
Yeah,
it
but
kind
like
of depends.
yeah, his character wasn't killed off, which thank God. But
Thankfully.
I wish they could have done more. I could have. That was especially with Alaric and like Jeremy seeing like having that a potential scene with them, like that would have been really, really great. Yeah. My third would be episode 15, where Landon finds out that Malivore is his father, and he
Mhm.
finds out that like Hope was kind of keeping it from him. And so kind of seeing that like tension between their relationship was kind of nice. Like it wasn't like happy. Like it wasn't like, it's like a normal relationship. You always have
Mhm.
tension within it, and kind of seeing like
It's the
how strong their
secrets.
relationship is. It's good. I like seeing that. I kind of because it's realistic.
Hmm. Well,
Um
in the realm of fantasy, that's as realistic as we're gonna
yeah,
get.
yeah.
All
But
right. So what's the fourth one?
the fourth one would be Mommy Dearest episode 6,
Mm,
where JoJo comes back. That's a good one because I loved their love interest in the Vampire Diaries, and I was so sad that she had to die. And like it kind of sucked for Alaric because he finally found someone that really loved him,
Hmm.
for who he is and like kind of have that epic love. She will
He didn't
always
ha-
be that epic love.
he didn't have to hide anything either, too. He didn't have to hide the
Yeah,
supernatural knowledge he had because she was part of that world.
he was a Gemini, yeah.
Hmm. So number five,
Yeah. When Hope's ex-boyfriend, what's his name again?
Roman.
Roman. When Roman comes back. That was a good one.
Okay, because I actually have episode 114, that one as my first one.
Really?
Yeah, that one's my favorite because of the fact that we see Hope and Lizzie getting a lot closer together, and the fact that we got Klaus and Caroline, uh, that history behind it, and the fact that they brought the dress back, the fact that they brought Miss Mystic Falls back because that was a huge Elena and Damon moment for me as well in season one. So to see it be brought back, to see Roman playing a part in being Hope's date and him being the one to tell her that Klaus was the one that gave the dress that she was wearing. And like I think this was also the episode she was kind of dealing with her emotions of her thinking Landon was dead in the previous episode before finding out he was a phoenix. So she had a huge control issues over her powers during that time. And Hope, or not Hope, Hope is the one, but Lizzie using her powers to siphon when she needed those outbursts and trying to be there for her when beforehand they were just at each other's throats. I thought it was just like a good turning point. And then having Josie find her voice and trying to step out and like say what she wanted when Lizzie was always pushing her kind of to the side. I thought it was like really good character development for all of them while also having that little bit of Mystic Falls reminders as well too. Was kind of why that one was my favorite.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I would probably bump that up to like the fourth episode and then Mommy Dearest to the number five because I really liked how they brought back the Mystic Falls
Mm-hmm.
competition. And oh, they also brought like kind of like their legacy version of like Damon and Stefan in the dance where like Landon left and then Roman had to step in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was really cool.
that is very true. And it's funny you say 106 because that's my second one. Because
Oh,
just because of the fact not only did we get Joe back, but her interactions with seeing her daughters for the first time, because we did see her being a ghost in the finale of Vampire Diaries, watching over her kid versions of her children, but then actually being able to interact with them before the necromancer took hold of her, and seeing Alaric's reaction to that and that goodbye that them as a family had was just very, very emotional and heartbreaking to
yeah,
see. And it was also a good moment too because it was a point where not only did they all get to dress up, but Hope was able to kind of be there for Josie and allow her to have her thoughts being heard and not being pushed aside. Because I think that's what Lizzie was mostly doing. It was all about her and it was her party when it should be the both of them.
yeah,
Um, but they were each reacting to Joe's return in very different ways. And it was just really great to see her play such a huge part in the episode, especially so early on in the show, where it's like it's not guaranteed that you'd get old cast members coming back to do a
yeah,
special guest. So like
yeah,
I thought that was pretty good in itself. And of course for their 16th birthday party, why not? Most memorable for that. But from that, I would put my third favorite to be the episode 110, which is the genie episode, just because that's where we got the alternate worlds from Lizzie's wishes.
yeah,
So we got to see a world where Hope just never went to the school, or like Hope just was never born. And we got more mentions of Klaus and Caroline and the state of the school. We got a theoretical daughter of Damon and Elena and Stephanie Salvatore being mentioned. Um, Although they were supposedly going to have her in season five if they
yes,
had
yes,
continued, so like that's a missed opportunity. But
I know.
I really like the idea of all these different worlds that Lizzie was just experiencing. Like technically, you're kind of better off with Hope in your life and on your side than being an enemy. But the one downside I had was that they never came back to it because they said that for the genie, it would have repercussions for Lizzie having to go through that and it would cause side effects for her, but we never really saw those side
Yeah,
effects
I was a bit
playing
confused.
forward.
Yeah,
The only time I saw it being happening was in season 2 where she was the one who remembered Hope, but they didn't really fully explain why that was the reason why she remembered Hope because it
I,
didn't really have a correlation to like her wishes and stuff.
I thought it's because something happened to like I can't remember how, but like something happened like probably within a spell, and then
No,
she was
that was different though, because everyone remembered when Josie learned the dark magic
yeah,
spell.
yeah, I know
And then
that.
before that, Lizzie somehow still remembered. But they never truly, unless I'm not remembering it properly, but I don't remember them ever explaining why all of a sudden Lizzie remembered.
No, I think they did. I just can't remember how they did it.
Okay. Maybe
I
we'll
feel
go
like
over
they
it.
did. Like I feel like they did. I just
Okay.
can't remember how they did it.
Okay. Because I remember always thinking, where's the repercussion?
Yeah.
When is that
Like
placed?
that's the problem with the show. Like it's they have a lot of forgettable moments.
Yeah, what we're going to talk about and realize during the storyline. But that was three. So episode four was the finale. 116 is my number four. Just because from the goodbyes that Hope gave with both Landon and with Alaric over the
Yeah.
phone, the idea that this was, again, this was like a year maybe after the death of Klaus and Elijah for us. So it's just like now you're just going to have Hope going into this pit where we may never see her again. And she's getting all this goodbye after everything she's lost. I think that's what set me off emotionally during the watch. But then also to see her get one up on Brian Clark and have him go also in the pit as well too was just a very satisfying moment there.
I kind of liked his character. I think it was very
He
entertaining to watch.
he grew on me, but in that
Yeah,
moment, it's just like
yeah.
you are so screwed, dude. Like,
Like he's the type of character that you would think like, damn this character, let's just like fucking leave. But then he has his like moments where like he's human, where
mhm.
like like he's like any
I
ordinary like
I know for sure with him, it's just the instinct of like don't trust him, but at the same, it's like, but I kind of want to because like
yeah,
what he's
yeah.
trying to
He
propose.
has that like he has that like likable like era like aura
Aura.
around him. But
Hmm.
then there's moments where he's like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, yeah, essentially, yeah. So then my fifth one, so that we can move forward to two, is the 113, the episode where we find out that Landon is a phoenix. I
Mhm.
like that one just from the discovery of that, but also because it focused on the vampire and werewolf dynamic with MG and
Yeah,
Raphael. And it pretty much bit down to the core creatures the show started on. So I really liked because before that it was all about monster, monster, monster. And it's like, what about the actual student creatures?
and
Right.
it
So
has that like adventure
mhm.
kind of aesthetic, like kind of formula.
Yeah, because it was also the second, it was like while everyone was dealing with the mummy on spring break, this is what these three were doing at the same time. So it's kind of like two different storylines, but also we got that extra hint of like, okay, what is this act? What is this guy? And then it just made sense from all the other instances before of like, oh, you were seeding that he was a phoenix. We just thought it was other things that were causing these things to happen. So it was just really great to have that, although they never the only thing he could do was fly later on and always die. That was the only thing we could see a phoenix do. And I wish like they did more or they could have done
Yeah,
more with it. But for the episode as it was, that was a pretty good one for me.
yeah, I liked it. I especially kind of seeing Hope cry over like Landon. You kind of see like kind
It's
of
like
like the potential like for being like a good actor, like actress. And
mhm.
because like most of like the actors um on Legacies, I didn't really like the acting, but like in this episode, I really liked her acting in this one. And it kind of shows like her, potential to kind of like, grow
Yeah.
on me as a as an
Yeah.
actress.
It's always tricky with a new show, right? Because it's them trying to get their footing and it's us trying to know the character a bit more. But with Hope, we already had a year previously with her as a certain state, and now it's 2 years later without her father in her life and her mother
Hmm.
too, because they both
Hmm.
died. And now it's like, how is she now? And like definitely a different state and more loner, but definitely interesting to see the change of it. That's the end of part one for this ranking of the storylines journey for Legacies. This is editor Mel interrupting right now just to let you guys know that even though I finished recording the full video with Amber, it ended up being a 2.5 hour long video, and I thought that would have been a bit long to upload. So I am splitting up into the four different seasons coverage. So this one covers with season one. Seasons two, three, and four should be up very soon. If you're watching them a little bit later than when they've released, then they'll just the links for the other parts would be in the description box down below, as well as the Legacies playlist. You can find all the ranking videos for Legacies on there as well. But yeah, it was very interesting throughout the recording of the video to find out not only where I ended up lying lying in regards to like where I thought the storylines would go, and then to compare that to what Amber had thought was very interesting. It's also very interesting to see what I remember versus what she remembered, and just seeing what else was triggered when she would mention something. What did I remember from that, and then vice versa, what I said, and then what she remembered off of that. It's a very interesting process being able to talk about it to someone fully in length instead of talking to someone who just go, yep, that's cool. But to be able to talk to someone who actually walks the show and who's a fan of the show and who knows all the little tiny things I make references to and can dish it right back to me was just pretty cool and pretty exciting as well too. My throat probably hated me after that recording, not gonna lie, but it was still pretty fun as well. So I hope you guys check out parts 2, 3, and 4 to find out if the rankings that like the statuses that we have for the season 1 storylines ended up being the same by the time we finish with our finalized rankings at the end of part 4, or if they tend to get a new status ranking. Definitely check those out. We do see, I will say this, we do see a bit of shifting going around, so very interesting to see. Also, talked about a lot of stuff in regards to the Vampire Diaries, the originals and Legacies, about how everything was combined, how everything was dealt with. So it's a very interesting conversation. I hope you guys tune back in to see what we have to say in the future parts about that. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the video, please like it. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and to share this with others. Don't forget to include the notification bell because there are following parts to this in case you want to be notified for when those parts get published or get released. You'll be on the first to know about that. Also, don't forget that the links for my Tumblr and my WordPress are down in the description box below in case you want to follow me over there. I am still behind, but anything Legacies, I want to try linking over there. So that's just a heads up of some links down below that you'd want to see. Also, yeah, let us know what you thought about season 1. Let us, if you want, you can also if you want to put predictions of what you think our rankings for 2, 3, and 4 for seasons would be. You could do that down below as well too. We'd love to hear about what your own thoughts were, what you predict our own favorites would be. That would be kind of cool too. And then you can always come back in the parts 2, 3, and 4 to see if your own predictions about our thoughts match up or not. And then just share your thoughts as well too. Again, no opinion is correct. You have your own, we have our own. It's very cool to see how we interpreted this franchise and this series, to see what was the consensus of it all. So that's kind of pretty cool. So I'm going to end it there, guys, and go back to editing part 2 now, as editor Mel is talking. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. Again, hope you come back. But until then, this is Mel wishing you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Take care. Be safe. Bye for now.